Good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Kelly Brown. I'm the IB coordinator over at George Mason High School. I work with our 9th and 10th graders in the NYP program, and I also work with our 11th and 12th graders in the DP program. My purpose today is to talk to you all about the DP program. You still have 2 years before your students can enter the diploma program, but we want to make sure that parents are aware and students are aware of what kind of comes with the diploma program and how to set yourself up for success in those later years. As with all of our IB programs, PYP, NYP, and DP, all of them are centered around this mindset of a learner profile. They're centered around the idea that we want to make sure our students not only have the academic skills that they're going to need to succeed after high school, but they also have those social skills and the prep skills that they're going to need. And so it looks at that well-rounded mindset. You'll see as we talk about the diploma program that they really do look at a holistic child as opposed to a specialized where they're only taking maths and sciences or they're only taking humanities. They want to make sure that we expose our students to all that's out there so that they can go on to make some choices as they get older. 90% of our current juniors and seniors take IB courses. It does not mean that 90% of them are enrolled in the full diploma, but 90% of our students are taking either one or more IB courses throughout the course of their junior and senior year. For us, this is our rigorous course offering. Students will come to us, parents will come to us asking, well, why should my student take IB? You're looking at the rigorous course offerings. You're looking at this is our highest level of challenge and rigor for our students. It doesn't mean that it's the only rigor that we offer at Mason, okay? But if your student is looking for those courses that are going to challenge him or her the most, the IB courses are where he or she is looking, okay? And I always caution students in that mindset. It's not, when you're looking at colleges and colleges are saying we want you to take rigorous courses, they want you to take what we call appropriately rigorous courses, okay? If you're struggling in Algebra 2, leaping into AP Calculus, probably not appropriately rigorous, okay? Making a step into math studies or into Math SL is going to be the more appropriate route. So we always want to keep that in mind as we're looking at the offerings for our students. You'll hear various people asking about why do we have the diploma program in Falls Church City? Why has it been our flagship program for 34 years? I've highlighted 4 of the things that I think are the most important. And if you'd like a larger version, because I do realize it is very small print on this, if you'd like a larger version of it, I will happily share it out with you. But to me, there's 4 things that our students are going to walk away with. Sometimes they don't realize it while they're in the classroom, but they're going to walk away with it after they graduate from Mason. The first is the breadth and the depth that's offered through the IB program. Okay? They're going to have chances, depending on which courses they take, to explore their subject areas in greater depth, so they're having a chance to cover more content within it and look at that content deeper, but they're also able to expand what they're looking at. Okay, they will be taking an English, if they're pursuing the full diploma, an English, a math, a science, a social studies, a foreign language, and an elective. So they're going to be looking at that wide range, not just focusing in on one area. The critical thinking is huge. With the IB program, it is an international program. Okay, IB will prescribe to us some of the content. Okay, but really it's more of the skills-based so that we can teach our students the critical thinking skills associated with math, associated with science and English, so that when they do go off to colleges, they can take the skills that they've learned and apply it to the content that they're approaching. Time management is a huge component for our students, making sure that they know how to balance their time, making sure that they know how to have the social life that's associated with high school, have the academics, prepare themselves for college. And then the last one for me as a student would have been the most appealing. With your IB courses, the exams that you take in May are one component of the IB examinations. Okay? So students will be able to take, if they're in an English course, they would have that written assessment in May, but they also have written tasks during the year, as well as oral assessments. So it's not a situation where, fingers crossed, that last day in May you have a really good testing day. There's multiple times during the year that the student is going to have a chance to show what he or she has learned over the course of that year. Okay, and I'm going to step over here to plug in my laptop before it dies on us. Within the program offerings at George Mason, we have two different offerings. Students can pursue what we call the full IB diploma. Could you plug that in, Ms. Schaefer? Thank you. They can pursue the full IB diploma or the courses. There we go. Sorry about that. Sorry, come on in. What we offer to our students are two different components, okay? At George Mason, we are an open access program, meaning our students do not have to apply to take IB courses. There's not certain requirements that he or she must meet to take those courses. It really and truly is, we know it's the best or the most rigorous program we offer for our students. We want to open it up to as many students as possible. Okay, so students are able to select the diploma path, which is a required path. There are certain things that you must meet and you are required to complete through the diploma path. Or they can choose the courses path. The courses path is for the student who wants the challenge and the rigor, but may not be ready for that full diploma. They may not be ready for the 6 subjects and the additional work that comes into it. Okay? There is a third option. I do this presentation for the sophomores. And they always ask, well, what if I don't want to do any IB courses? It's a perfectly legitimate option that's out there for our students. They then wanted to know why I don't talk to them about it. Because it's not it's not in my purview. You have the choice of taking the IB courses or you don't have it. You have the choice of not taking them. They're out there. I'm going to try and get our students to challenge themselves and to make sure that when they are leaving the doors of George Mason, that they are prepared to challenge themselves and to continue challenging themselves through college and whatever they choose to do after that. So with your two options, you have what we call the required path, which is the diploma, okay? And then you have the optional path, which is the courses path. For adults, the example that I use, the diploma path is your prefix menu. Okay? You pick your appetizer, you pick your entree, you pick your dessert. Okay? The courses path is a la carte. Pick and choose what it is you want. If you want an appetizer, have an appetizer. If you want to just eat dessert, just have dessert. That works as well. Okay? With the diploma path, you have 6 IB level courses that you have to complete over your junior and senior year. You have the extended essay that you'll complete. You'll have CAS, Creativity, Activity, and Service. And then you'll have TOK, which is our Theory of Knowledge course. Okay? You have to complete these 3 components, and then the students will pick which of the 6 courses that they want to do based on their previous study. Okay? If they choose the courses path, they can pick any of it. They can take any IB course that they would like to take. If they want to add in the extended essay, they can add in that, or CAS, or Theory of Knowledge. Okay, so they can kind of pick and choose what works best for them. Any questions about the basics of the 2 paths? Okay. So within that, you have what they call the Wheel of IB, or what I've now dubbed the Wheel of IB. You have the 6 subject groups that are going to be covered. Studies in Language and Literature is our traditional English course. Language acquisition, the students have the choice of French, Spanish, or Mandarin. Individuals and Societies, these are our social studies courses. Sciences, they're your science courses, same with mathematics. And then the 6th subject group is a little bit deceiving, okay? It lists it as arts or electives, okay? So if a student is not desiring to take either music, film, theater, or visual arts, he or she can pick a second foreign language, a second history, or a second science. Okay, so they give some options within there. So it's the required path, but there's some picking and choosing as to which course works best for each student. They will complete 3 courses, there we go. 3 courses at the higher level. You'll hear students refer to HL courses and SL courses. HL courses are what we call higher level courses. They require by IB 240 seat hours. Okay? And the way we've structured our school day here in Falls Church City, that means those higher level courses are 2-year courses. Okay, so a student would start at their junior year, They'd continue with the course into senior year, and they would sit for the exam at the end of their senior year. Okay? Standard level courses require a minimum of 150 hours. Some of our standard level courses, come on in. Some of our standard level courses are 2-year courses because our teachers have taught these courses over the years and they know we need a little bit more than the 150 hours minimum. Other courses are 1-year courses because we've been able to make sure our students are masters of the curriculum before the exam with 150 seat hours. And then you have the core, which when IB redesigned this, they actually moved it out of the core, but you have the theory of knowledge, the extended essay, and creativity, activity, and service. Those are there for students who are interested in it if they're pursuing the courses path, or for students that are completing the full diploma, they must complete those 3 elements. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about those in a moment. Okay, this is the part that seems to be the most relevant to rising 9th grade parents, is the course sequence. It is not in the pamphlet that you have right now for a very specific reason. We have our our program of studies that we just uploaded onto the George Mason website for parents and students. The one thing that I'm always hesitant of just giving out these course titles is they don't necessarily mean anything to you. And that's one of the reasons I'm going to encourage you to look at that program of studies with your student, is to be able to see what these different courses actually entail. As far as English goes, we offer 2 options. We offer higher level literature or standard level language and literature. Okay, they're 2 very different courses in the sense that one, your literature course, is going to focus on the traditional literature courses that most of us are used to. This is the course where you're going to read your novels, your plays, your short stories, your poetry, and you're going to analyze it in the traditional English teacher fashion. Okay? The language and literature course is a new course to IB that we've started offering recently, which allows our students to start expanding their analysis of literature. Okay? And they start looking at the language we use in everyday conversation, how we use them in posters, signage, advertisements, blogs. It starts to open up this idea of text as we used to know it. And as an English major, I've always learned it. Your texts are the books that you can check out from the library kind of text. Whereas we're now starting to look, as we've changed with online and social media and things shifting in that way, starting to look at how language encompasses more than just your hardbound book. Okay? So if you want later on, I will happily share a chart like this with you, but I really want you to look at it in the context of the program of studies so that you can start to see what these different courses require and what they offer for students. So English is a very, English is a very cut and dry method. Your student's going to take English in 9th grade, English in 10th grade, and then 11th grade, if they're pursuing IB, they'll have their choice between higher level literature and language and literature standard level. There's nothing special students need to do in 9th and 10th grade. Okay? It's not, you're going to do English 9 and English 10, and after that, you're open to all of the IB courses. If you take the Honors English 9 or the regular English 9, both of them will lead you to the IB curriculum. Okay? So students are allowed to do, or they're not required to do honors level courses in order to take IB their junior and senior year. Languages. This is always tricky because our students come to us with varying levels of language. Okay? What I tell students most often is that you want to continue with the language that you are currently in unless there is a major exception. Okay? And their counselor will meet with them, talk about those special exceptions. But the idea is we'd like our students to be at about level 2 when they come to us as a freshman. It does not mean that a student who has not taken a language as of yet can't do the full IB diploma. It just means they're going to need to work a little bit harder to make sure that they have that level of language skill. Okay, so they would have their Spanish, French, or Mandarin for 9th and 10th grade, and then that will open them up to start choosing whether they want to do standard level Spanish, standard level French, standard level Mandarin, or the higher level for their junior and senior year. Okay? We do have some students that will come to us. You'll hear students refer to ab initio. This is for students who transfer into Falls Church City and they have taken a language at other schools that isn't French, isn't Spanish, or isn't Mandarin. Okay, we've had students that have come into me as a junior, they're a rising junior, they've taken German for the last 4 or 5 years. We don't offer German here. Okay, so what we do is we have a program called Ab Initio for students who have transferred in. Okay, traditionally we do not open that program up to students who have been in Falls Church City because we've given them that opportunity to pick their language, Spanish, French, or Mandarin. Okay. Questions on the first two groups? Okay. Social studies, science, and math. Okay. You have your traditional course of sequence. 9th grade, our students will traditionally take World Civ and Geography 2. 10th grade, they have the choice between AP US Government and CP US Government. Okay. And then they move into the history courses, and they have a lot of different choices in there. Okay. They can take HL History, which would be 2 years, junior and senior year. Junior year, they would do History of the Americas, a US history course. And then senior year, they would do World History. They could do Psychology. They can do Business and Management, Anthropology, or Economics. Okay? And keep in mind, these are the courses that we offer now. It does not mean that we won't add courses to it for over the next couple of years. But as of right now, as we're looking with your students as rising 9th graders, where could they go at this point? Okay. Our SL courses in history are all 1-year SL courses. Okay. So if a student takes business and management in 11th grade, they would take the exam at the end of 11th grade. Okay. And then they would have a spot in their schedule for senior year where they could either pick up another IB course, they could take a study hall or something else. Okay. Sciences, okay, are very similar. Traditionally, our students will take biology in 9th grade year. Then they can do chemistry and or physics. It's up to them as to how they want to pursue it. And then we open them up into the options for junior and senior year. We offer biology at the higher level. So biology is a 2-year. If they take it for IB, it is a 2-year course. We offer chemistry and physics at either higher level or standard level. Okay, those 2 standard level courses, physics and chemistry, would be 1 year. Okay, so we have had students in the past who they wanted to make sure they expose themselves to chemistry, physics, and biology. Okay, so they take biology as a 9th grader, chemistry as a 10th grader, physics as an 11th grader, and then they either take physics or chemistry SL as a senior. Okay? That way they're able to expose themselves to all 3 of those main sciences. Okay? In addition, we offer them environmental systems and societies. Okay? This is what we call an interdisciplinary course where it combines some of the ideas from individuals and societies with the ideas from an experimental science. Okay? So students are able to start looking more at a more humanities version of a science than a traditional science. Okay? Because that is a shift for many of our students, because this is one of the first times they start looking at that interdisciplinary science, it's offered over 2 years. Okay? So if students enroll in environmental systems and societies as an 11th grader, they'll take the second part of the course as a 12th grader. Okay? And then at the bottom, we also offer computer science. IB recognizes computer science as an experimental science. The state of Virginia does not recognize computer science as a laboratory or experimental science. Okay, so I always caution students to have that in the back of their mind. If they're interested in taking the IB computer science courses, okay, we encourage them to take AP Computer Science Principles and AP Computer Science A to get that background knowledge. Okay. Math. Math is the one that I always, go ahead. That's okay.
Question about science.
Sure.
I think there was a course session last night, and I believe that there are other science courses that are offered in 9th grade.
Yes.
So why the recommendation for biology first?
So that the students are open to more courses junior and senior year. Because in order to take the IB biology course your junior and senior year, you have to have biology taken. In order to take chemistry or physics at the IB level, you have to take chemistry or physics in the year before. So if you do SL physics, you need to have taken physics your junior year. If you do HL physics, we have some students that will do physics for junior and senior year. We encourage them to take physics in 10th grade. Okay? They can still take the, I believe it's called Earth Science or Geophysics next year. They keep changing the name on me. Earth Science now. Okay. So if they take Earth Science as a 9th grader, it doesn't mean that they can't do these IB courses. It just means they may not be able to do as many of them. They might not have as many choices.
Okay, so it's foundation.
Yep. Yep. Other questions on sciences?
Is
Sure.
the earth sciences different from the physics class in 10th grade?
Then this physics class,
Okay,
yes.
What's that? It's completely different. So if they wanted to be interested in just taking like a physics all the way through, could they do that? Like earth science and then physics and then the physics 1 and then
Physics
2
2.
IB?
The only reason I'm hesitating on answering is because in Virginia, you also are required to have a certain number of disciplines,
Okay.
depending on if you're pursuing an advanced diploma or a standard diploma. If you're pursuing an advanced diploma, you have they want 3 different disciplines unless you're an IB diploma candidate, in which case you can get away with 2. So they would have to be an IB diploma candidate in order to go that path.
But they'd have to have, you said 2, meaning they have to have chemistry or biology.
I believe, and I need to double check with Ms. Korjanowicz, if they could do earth science as one discipline, physics as their second discipline, and then HL physics, junior and senior year.
Right.
Other science questions?
You
Okay.
mentioned that they had to take an AP.
They don't have to. If they do, we've revamped our computer science program recently. Instead of doing, we used to do intro to computer science, or I'm sorry, not intro to computer science, computer science 1. Okay, and we ran into a hiccup of our rising 9th graders would take computer science 1. You can't take any of your IB computer science courses until junior or senior year. So we had this awkward year where we were trying to figure out what to do with our computer science students. So we've revamped computer science. We now have an intro to computer science course, which is our AP computer science principles. Then computer science 1 has been replaced by AP computer science A. So they can take those courses. They don't have to if they're not interested in computer science, but it's there as an option for them.
But at what grade do they take those to?
They can take them either grade, either 9th or 10th grade. Yep. If they want to, I have some students this year, they're going to take AP computer science as an 11th grader, so they can do computer science SL as a senior.
And the AP computer science for 9th, that's a real AP course?
Mhm.
Real, and they'll take,
Yep.
they can take the AP.
They'll take the AP exam at the end. Yes, ma'am?
And that would be in place of one of their electives, correct?
Yes, that is in place of an elective.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, that does become in place of one of their electives. Other science questions? Okay, math. Math is always the tricky one. With math, the student's path on the math track is really going to be dependent on where they are currently in 8th grade. Okay? And the reason for that is, if your student is currently in geometry, he or she would move to Algebra 2, okay, as a freshman. If your student's currently in Algebra 1, they're going to move to geometry. If your student is currently in Math 8, they're going to move into Algebra 1. And so it goes by that track for you, okay? The options we've opened up for our juniors and seniors have become larger and larger as the years go on. As far as IB options go, if a student is in Algebra 1 as a 9th grader, they would move to geometry as a 10th grader, Algebra 2 as an 11th grader, and then they would move over here to Math Studies SL as a senior, okay? It's a 1-year math course that does not require calculus for our students, okay? If a student is going to take geometry or honors geometry as a freshman, they would move into either Algebra 2 or honors Algebra 2 with trig as a sophomore, and then they would make their selection between Math SL 1 or Math Studies SL, okay? Somebody's going to notice that our traditional pre-calculus course has disappeared. It hasn't really disappeared, it's gotten enveloped into it. In Math SL 1, our students will work with the pre-calculus curriculum. Okay? They'll cover various content within there. So that senior year, they can take a much longer named course called IB Math SL2/AP Calculus AB. I still call it Math SL2 because it just covers everything I need. So at the end of that year, at the end of your student's senior year, they would, in that Math SL2 course, they would be taking the IB exam, and if they wanted to, they could take the AP exam as well for AB Calculus. Okay, so they're going to cover both. The content overlaps. Okay, so it's not as though they're teaching two separate courses in that one course. The content does overlap for them. There we go. The content will overlap, so they'll have that curriculum for both exams at the end of their senior year, if they choose to take it. Some students will choose to just take the IB exam. That's perfectly fine. Okay. If your student is in, math has so many options. If your student is in Honors Algebra 2 and Trig as a 9th grader, he or she could go to Honors Pre-Calculus as a 10th grader, and then they could go into, yet another long math course name, AP Calculus BC/IB Math HL1. In that course, they would cover both the BC Calculus curriculum and the IB HL1 curriculum. Okay? So at the end of their junior year, they could take that AP Calc BC exam, and then at the end of senior year, they would take the Math HL2 exam. So we've opened up more options. We've listened to what parents and students have given us as feedback, and we've opened up more of those options so that they can take those AP Calculus courses and still meet the requirements of IB. Okay. Questions on math, and I realize, I feel like every now and then I need a whole degree in math to understand the tracking of it.
What's the 12th grade class after, if you take the AP Calc in 11th grade, what do you take?
AP Calc BC.
IB, yeah, the whole
Yep.
IB.
Then you would take Math HL2. Yep, and you would be doing your math at a higher level math. Yes.
What did you say was grade 10 if you came in at the Honors Algebra 2?
Honors Algebra 2 Trig, you would take Honors Pre-Calculus. That way you're prepared for that calculus exam junior year. Other questions on math? There, oh, go ahead.
This is just, it's somewhat a personal question, but my daughter, for some reason, she's in honors algebra in 8th grade.
Okay.
And she's telling me that she needs to, for some reason, or wants to do geometry over the summer. And what I'm trying to understand is, it doesn't really, like, give her any kind of head start for anything, other than maybe taking a higher level
If
math
she wanted to
or
take
math.
higher level math,
Yeah,
she would have to complete geometry over the summer.
Got it.
One of the things I always caution students with, I know through our high C program they can complete various courses. Traditionally, we're finding our students are able to complete a semester of work in that course over the summer. If she wanted to do it kind of as reinforcement, do start with that first semester of geometry and then start with geometry as a freshman. That might help her some. But that's going to be something I would recommend talking to her counselor about to see what the best path for her is going to be. Because every kid's going to come in with different math skills, and just seeing where those skills are going to best place her. Yeah. So, and we have an advantage with our 8th grade math teachers. They know, because they had been over at the high school for so long, they know what's coming up in those that curriculum. Asking her math teacher is a great resource. Yeah. Other math questions? Yes.
So if they came in doing geometry in grade 9,
Mm-hmm.
then they have the option, it's Honors Algebra 2 Trig or
Algebra 2.
Algebra 2.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they have that choice of Math SL or Math Studies. Okay. And when you look at our program of studies, there's a wonderful section in there, and I'm very appreciative to our math cert for always putting it in there. There's a flow chart for math. It's not always the most clear flow chart because there's so many different options. These are the options that are there for students for IB courses. We do have other options for students who aren't choosing to pursue IB in math that they're open to take, such as AP Statistics. Okay, so there's other options out there. If math isn't that passion or isn't that strength, there's something else out there for them. So when you look at that particular flow chart, there are some other options for students. Okay, now on to the very easy section. PE and TOK. Every 9th grader and every 10th grader has to take PE. Okay, so that's going to be one of their required electives as a freshman. Okay. Then in junior and senior year, we have a unique split. Students pursuing the full IB diploma have to take TOK. Other students are eligible if they're interested in taking it. And I'll talk a little bit about the course in just a minute. But it's a split course. If you're a junior, you're going to take it second semester of your junior year, and then you'll pick it back up again first semester of your senior year. That leaves you 2 little weird windows. Okay, so first semester of junior year, you can pick up a semester course, and second semester of senior year, you can pick up a semester course. The reason we have it straddling those 2 particular years is TOK is our interdisciplinary course. It's the course where we're bringing together things that our students are learning in other disciplines and starting to show how it's not just math operating in its own bubble and English in its own bubble and science in its own bubble. They are interconnected and they are related to one another. So we wanted to make sure if we only offered it in junior year, our students would only be able to see that connection with their junior year courses. And if we only offered it in senior year, they'd only see it in their senior year courses. So we wanted them to be able to see in both junior and senior year how those courses are starting to connect with one another. Students really and truly have the option of what they want to fill in with that particular blank in semester 1 of junior year and semester 2 of senior year. I encourage students to work with their counselor in picking that elective. As the rising juniors are picking theirs right now, it's very fun to watch them. They keep taking my courses and dividing them. We can't split a year-long course. So if it's IB Economics, they won't be able to take IB Economics as a junior for first semester and then pick back up IB Economics as a senior. It doesn't work that way. But what they could do is they could pick up economics and personal finance, complete the economics part junior year, and then pick back up with the finance part senior year. They could do wind ensemble. They could do a study hall. They could do international relations. They have a wide variety of different things that they can choose that are traditional semester courses. Okay? And then we come back into their elective section.
Are the
go ahead.
semester courses identified in the program study?
Yes, they are. Yep. They're listed underneath the courses if it's a semester course or a year course. Some of the courses you can take as a full year and as just a semester course.
So it'll be listed as those options.
Yep. Yep. Uh-huh. Group 6 is our arts and electives group. Depending on what courses a student chooses to take in 9th and 10th grade kind of sets them up for their arts and electives in junior and senior year. The arts courses we offer at IB are music, theater, visual arts, and film. Okay? In order to take any of these, the students are going to need to have some background in them in 9th and 10th grade. So if your student really wants to do IB visual arts, I do recommend they look at their electives in 9th and 10th grade to be visual art classes. Okay? That way they have the background so that they're ready for the rigor of IB visual arts. Same with theater. If they're interested in theater, taking theater in 10th grade as Theater 1 is going to give them some of that background knowledge. Okay? If the traditional arts route is not for your student, which it is not, it is not for some students. IB recognizes that, and they allow students to pick up a second language, a second social studies, or a second science. So if your student is really passionate and they want both IBSL chemistry and IBSL physics, they can do that as their elective. Okay, so they have some wiggle room in there. One of the beauties of IB is that it does offer each student their own individual plan. One of the difficulties of IB is that every student is a different case. Okay? And I caution you on that. I've met this morning, I had 2 rising juniors come into my office and a rising senior, and we're all looking at their diploma plans. All 3 of them have completely different diploma plans because it tailors to what works best for them. So the only required structure is that you cover a course from each of these disciplines. Okay? What the students have the choice of is which of those courses he or she is going to take. Okay? Which makes different things appear in different ways. Questions about the courses they can take before I go into the core.
I have a timing question.
Sure.
If you're covering it later.
I don't know.
You showed the two paths, but you never commented on when they have to commit to one or the other, and can you start on one and switch over to the other without penalty?
That's a perfect question. Okay. So you have your paths. Students do not have to select a path until their junior year. The only reason we're meeting with parents as rising 9th grade parents is to make sure you know what options are out there for the future. Okay, so a student can come to me and I'll meet with all of the 10th graders, usually in December, January, depending on how the weather goes. I'll meet with them as rising juniors. I'll outline the paths with them. We'll talk about different diploma plans. We'll give them the option to write their diploma plan. If a student comes to me and is on the fence, they can't decide, do I want to be a diploma student or a courses student? Which is better? Which is going to get me what I want? I encourage students to start on the diploma path. Give it a shot. If it doesn't work, you're finding it isn't the perfect fit for you, we can make changes and move over to the courses path. Okay? And I always caution students, you're not stepping down. Okay? It's a lateral movement depending on what works best for you. Okay? The jump that is much more difficult is the courses over to diploma. Okay? And the reason for that difficulty in jump is as a diploma student, you have to have 3 higher level courses. Those 3 higher level courses will span junior and senior year. So if you start out as a courses student and you pick 2 higher level courses and you come to me at the end of first semester and you say, you know, the IB is a lot easier than I thought, I'd like to pick up the diploma. Because they only have those 2 higher level courses, they can't pick up the diploma. Okay? Which is why I encourage them to start on that diploma path, making sure they have the 3 higher level courses. If for some reason it's not working, we need to make some tweaks, we can do that and move them over to the courses path. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. And then the last part that I have for you is the core. Okay? CAS, Extended Essay, and TOK. With everything in education, we like acronyms. We have CAS, which is Creativity, Activity, and Service. This is more of the service learning component of IB, but it's not just a service hour checkbox. Okay? IB recognizes that service is extremely important to your community, so they have the service aspect. But they're also looking at your student as that whole person. Okay? And so they are encouraging students to be physically active. Okay? It does not mean that we need to be the star point guard on the basketball team. Okay? It's looking at the idea that you're physically active, whether it's playing a sport at Mason. I have some students that come to me, I don't do organized sports. That's fine. I've had students who have chosen they go on hikes each weekend with their family in the fall. I have some students that they got a puppy with their family, and now every Tuesday evening, their family goes for a walk. Okay? That counts as activity. They are being physically active. I do always remind them it can't be you're taking Fido outside, you let him tinkle real quick, and then you come back inside. It does actually have to be a true walk. I have some students that walk to school. We're a small community. They can do that. I don't recommend it on days like today where it's 18 degrees outside, but I have one student who he walks to school every day that is 60 degrees or higher at 7:30 in the morning. It's my kind of walking temperatures. Okay? That's his activity. The activity portion is really and truly open to getting students to realize they need to be physically active as part of being a well-rounded person. Okay? Doesn't mean that we're running marathons. It means that we're finding that activity that's appropriate for each individual. And then there's the creativity part. This is the part that when I first was exposed to IB, I became very hesitant of, because I had the mindset that I was going to have to sit down and I was going to have to break out the crayons and construction paper, glitter and glue, and make some creativity. That's not my nature. Okay? It's never been in my nature. It's not looking at creativity in such a narrow lens. It's looking at creativity in the lens of creating. Whether it's creating a club, if you're on debate and you're creating your arguments and you're preparing your debate, being on Model United Nations and creating your policy papers. Okay? It's a very broad sense of creative. Okay? And it's asking students to not just take everything that's there and run with it, but to start developing other things. Okay? With all of these, for our students, the doing part is very easy. When your student comes to Mason, you will discover that every Mason student seems to be involved in everything. Okay, they all have, when they list off their extracurriculars for me, I get tired just looking at it. Okay, they're great doers, but part of CAS is the reflection part. Okay, so you're walking to school every morning at 7:45 and it's 60 degrees outside and it's lovely. What benefit are you getting from it? Okay, we want to make sure our students aren't doing it just to check the box, that they're starting to see some evolution in themselves. My student who's been walking to school each day has started talking about the different people he notices every morning. Okay, that when he goes out at 7:45, he's seeing different neighbors that are out there running every day. He's talked about how easy it has become. The first couple of days he was leaving at 7:30 to get to school on time. Now he's able to leave at 7:45, he can get to school on time, and he's not sitting in first period gasping for breath. Okay, so looking at how he's evolved through that time. We ask our students to do reflections once a month. Okay, it does not need to be a long dissertation. It's always funny because the juniors, when they start their junior year, they come in, their first reflections, 6 or 7 paragraphs. And I'm like, okay, we're overachieving today. This is good, and I want you to have those reflections, but keeping in mind that pacing of it, okay? Seniors, we're pulling them for those reflections. They don't have to be written reflections. They can be a video blog. They could be pictures with captions to them, okay? It could be a recording of their debate and then a quick, this is how it's changed. When I started it, it was this. When I finished it, it was this. I had a student who took a piece of music. She recorded it the first time she played it. She recorded it the last time she played it. She spent maybe a minute or two talking about the change in who she was as a musician, how she made those improvements. That works as your reflection. Okay? So it's a very broad element, but we want to make sure our students are involved in the community and are looking at themselves as more than just an academic student, that they're looking at that whole person. Okay? Then we have extended essay. Yes?
Can we go back to that?
Sure.
Maybe you covered it in the first 10 minutes, I apologize, but how is something like that evaluated?
What we have is a program called Manage Back. It was actually created by former IB students who are now making multi-millions off of it. I always tell my students, I'm like, this is what you do. You take something you know doesn't necessarily work in high school, and when they graduated college, they developed this program called Manage Back, because as IB students, they had trouble recording the CAS information. Okay, and so what they'll do is they'll have a Manage Back account. They'll go in. It's very simple for them to fill in, and they type their records in there, and then the CAS coordinator, Mrs. Planas, and myself go through and we read through the feedback. Okay, it's not a, you did good service, you're gonna pass. Your service is a little questionable, you don't get your credit. It's more of a, did you participate, did you reflect, and did you grow? If you did that, then you're considered passing for CAS. Yes?
What's the service component requirement?
Traditional service learning. So if a student wants, we have some students this year that are working, it's a program called Math Counts. They work with students here at the middle school. That's their service. They're providing a service. We have some students that are tutoring. We have a student who at the elementary school reached out to us. They have a student who needed a tutor. One of our CAS students volunteered. If you earn service hours for it, you cannot be compensated for it.
You can't, okay.
So we tell students, if you're tutoring a student for $15 an hour, that's wonderful. It's great money in your pocket, and I'm glad you have that opportunity. It doesn't count as service if you're paid. Okay, service does not receive that compensation. The other thing we caution students with, and it's come up especially this year with the presidential elections on the horizon, being involved in the elections counts. Okay. However, the idea of service is you're bringing together a community, you're not dividing a community. So if a student is out there and they are working as an election page, okay, that will count as their particular service. If they are out there campaigning solely for one candidate, that does not count as service hours because they are working to create that divide. Does not depend on the candidate. It was funny because one student asked me, he was like, well, who are you going to vote for? Then I'll support that person. And I'm like, that actually isn't how it works. It's It really and truly is that idea. If they're working with the League of Women Voters to get students to register to vote, that counts. If they're going out and they're saying, you're an independent, we're going to register you to vote, that doesn't count. Okay, it has to be open to all to encourage that sense of community. Make sense?
Is there a number of hours they have to have?
There used to be. They used to have a requirement of 50 hours of creativity, 50 hours of activity, and 50 hours of service. And what they found is it became a checkbox. Students would finish their 50 hours of creativity and they would move on. And then they would do 50 hours of action, 50 hours of service, and they would be done. That wasn't the idea behind CAS. The spirit behind it is that the students are involved over the course of their 2 years. So what Ms. Planas and I ask the students, and when we help them set up their plans, it's an ongoing service. So we're not looking at counting the hours. We're looking at, are you an active participant during your 2 years in 1, 2, or all 3, depending on the time frame. Okay, so some students, if you're a football player, you're going to be focused on that activity during football season. I get it. Okay, as an athlete in high school, that was it. But then once that season's over, starting to move into those the creativity and service hours. So it's looking at that balance throughout the 2 years. Okay, and that is a big shift. It's starting now with our juniors, and of course our juniors are very polite. They're telling all the seniors, we don't have to count hours. And all the seniors are very upset about that. And then we point out to the seniors that when they do count hours, our seniors are usually sporting 300, 400, 500. I have one student this year who has 800 hours for CAS. She's doing what they really want her to do. She's making sure that it's part of all of those years. If your student is a Girl Scout or Boy Scout, and they are looking at doing their Gold Award or their Eagle Scout, I highly recommend they hold off on that until summer before their junior year. And the reason for that is it counts as CAS. Okay, and it breaks my heart every year. I'll have students who, I did my Gold Award sophomore year, and I'm like, great. And then they say, can I count it towards IB? No. Okay, it's all about that timing. We will offer students the opportunity that are current sophomores. At the end of this year, we'll offer them an opportunity to be trained in CAS. As soon as they're trained in CAS, what they do counts for CAS. Okay, but I can't hold that training until they're done with their sophomore year of high school. So the same will be true for your students. When they come to me as rising juniors, we'll train them in CAS. They'll go off on their amazing summer adventures that baffle me every time. They'll come home, I went to Honduras for 6 weeks. Can I count that? If you weren't just traveling and you were actually working with a mission group or something like that, yes, you can. Okay? So looking at those different opportunities, they can add those in there. Okay? Extended essay. This is a very unique to IB program, but it's also one of the more difficult parts of the IB full diploma. It's a 4,000-word essay. Every time I say that, the students' eyes get really big. And then they ask the inevitable question, which as an English teacher I'm used to. How many pages is that? Well, it depends. I have one student who submitted his extended essay this year. It is 16 pages. I have another student who submitted his paper. It is 50 pages. Okay? Now, mind you, the kid with 50 pages, he has a lot of pictures. The kid with 17 pages, not so many pictures. It really depends on which subject you choose. Okay? I love this as a teacher. As a student, I probably would have been intimidated by it. But as a teacher, it's the first time that we really give our students the chance to go out, try some research on their own with the support of an advisor. Okay, so a student could, if they're really passionate about biology and they want to do a biology extended essay, they can go out there and do it. They'll do an experiment with it. They'll analyze the data. Those are the ones usually with their 50-page papers because they have a bajillion pictures of their experiments. Okay, or they have their charts and all of those things. It's supported through the library. Ms. Leganor, who's our librarian, is our extended essay advisor. She'll support the students through the entire process, picking their topic, picking their research question within their topic, and finding that path. We assign them an extended essay advisor who knows that content and is able to support the student. Okay, but the writing is still the student. Every year it always cracks me up. Like this year, seniors, we're finished with it, we're mailing them off, and I always ask for the feedback. I should have used my advisor more. I'm like, yes, you should have. Okay, it's the content expert. Use those advisors. So we encourage students to use them. It's your chance to kind of push those boundaries. We start it in spring of their junior year, so we're actually getting ready to start it with our juniors now, and they'll work on it through the beginning of their senior year, okay? We try to set it up. We've tried it a number of different ways where they're not working on it during the summer, they are working on it during the summer. It's gonna depend. We'll keep trying and we'll keep tweaking, but we'll have more specific dates as your students are juniors, okay?
So is it
Yes.
usually due at the beginning of their senior year?
We have shifted it in so many different ways. For this year's this year's juniors, so this year's juniors that are doing it, they have their first draft actually due before the end of their junior year. Okay? And then we have time to tweak because we're trying to balance a couple of different things. We need them to finish up their extended essay. They have assessments in their IB courses that are happening, and they have college applications. And our students do a lot of college applications. And so we're trying to balance all of those things in there. Right now we have it due at the end of November. We gave them a window because they always ask, what's the last date that I can turn it in? So Ms. Leganor and I got smart this year. The earliest date you can turn it in is November 15th. The last date you can turn it in is December 1st. So they have that nice little 2-week window that they can turn it in there. Okay? Really, the due date is December 1st, but they wanted to know the absolute last date. So we gave them a nice little window in there so that they have that idea of, well, I can have until the 1st. Works for me as long as I have the paper on the 1st. We'll see how it goes this year. If it goes well, we'll continue with that program. If it does not go well, we'll go back to the drawing board. So, and we have an IB student advisory board that's comprised of juniors and seniors that are both courses path students and diploma students. They're the ones that help us advise and kind of restructure that schedule every time. The last part is theory of knowledge. As a student, this is the course that I wish they had offered at my high school, is that interconnection of learning and how those subject areas are real world application. Okay, and I know my 8th grade my Algebra 2 teacher, and my parents are still in touch with her. They still talk to her because my constant question in Algebra 2 was, when am I ever going to use this again? Okay, I'm going through this entire year. Somebody explain to me, when will I use it again? That's where a lot of theory of knowledge comes in, is looking at how our different disciplines are connected with one another and how they support each other. The way a mathematician's going to analyze something and the way an English teacher or professor is going to analyze something, how are those different? They both deal with infinity. They both deal with cycles and loops and all of that. How is that information connected, and how is that information distinctive between the two disciplines? You'll hear students talk about ways of knowing, and that's how we learn our information. Okay, and I use the example right now. I have 11-month-old twins at home. They know more than I ever wanted them to know. Okay, it's amazing. Our son knows that when he takes a toy from his twin sister, she cries. He also knows that when we come over and make him give back the toy, he puts up his arms and we pick him up. Okay, he's 11 months old. He cannot speak. Okay, he's still working on feeding himself half the time, but he knows how to elicit reactions and emotions out of people. Okay, as he gets older, we're going to teach him different things. He's going to learn things in a traditional classroom setting. He'll learn things from adults. He'll just know things naturally. They look at that, how we learn information and how it differs in the different disciplines. It is a discussion and a seminar style course. If you walk into Mr. Sharp's class, he's our current TOK teacher, it is almost always set up in a circle. Okay? And it requires students to participate, to share their different ideas, to debate different topics. One of the things I always assure students is there's not a right or wrong answer in TOK. There's a I didn't participate and I over-participated, but there's no right or wrong answer. Okay, so students have that opportunity for the discussion and the debate. Okay. So where do you all go next? What I tell our rising 9th graders, take appropriate and challenging courses. Okay? If you're struggling in honors geometry this year, take Algebra 1 next year. Give yourself a chance to work on building up those foundations. It's not going to close things off for you, okay? But you need to take that opportunity to make sure that it's appropriate and challenging. Students that struggle in high school are students that are taking the course because their best friend is taking the course and they think that's where they should be. They need to make sure they're picking their courses based on what is the best fit for them as a student. Okay? If they're interested in taking the full diploma or just the courses path, have that conversation with your counselor, have that conversation with your student if that's what they want to do, so you can start looking at that farther out plan. They need to at least be in a foreign language level 1 as a freshman. If they haven't done that yet, they need to start that as a freshman. And then if they have any specific questions or you have any specific questions, please reach out to me. I am always available to parents and students. My contact information is up here for you. That is my direct line. If I don't answer, it's because there's a student in my office or I'm not in my office. It's 703-248-5590. Or feel free to email me. It's brown, just like the color, the letter K, @fccps.org. I am happy to sit down with you and your student to help you look at what you're looking at for the 4 years. If your student's registered for things, you start having questions next year, please contact me. I will happily work with you and your student to make sure that they're in the best program for their needs. Any last questions?
Can we get the chart that you didn't want to?
Yes. Do me this favor, and that because I don't have it with me, if you go to the program of studies, they gave me a nice paper copy. I'm really excited. And it's brand new, so I haven't tabbed anything yet. Go to page 23. And it is little print. And I apologize that it is little print. Okay, page 23 has that chart. And then page 22 has another little cheat sheet for you if the chart doesn't work best. This lists off all the IB courses that we offer at George Mason.
So it is in the program.
It is in the program of studies, yes. I just don't print it out because it's already printed there, and then I feel guilty killing trees. Yes, ma'am.
Just was a big picture snapshot of
Sure.
sort of the currency of the IB diploma these days. I know what it was when I was in high school. I don't know.
It depends on every college, and this is the struggle I have as a coordinator. I don't control colleges as much as I want to control everything. It really depends on every school, but I have learned, and this came from one of our former students, she graduated from Mason in 2012. She went to Radford. At the time, Radford accepted absolutely no IB credits. Okay. Fast forward to winter of 2015, she's getting ready to graduate a semester early. She did math wrong somewhere. She needed 120 credits to graduate. She had 119 credits. So she went to her advisor. They're having the conversation of what could she do. She contacted me for her IB scores, and she was able to go to Radford, show them what courses she took, show them the scores that she earned. Radford now has a policy that they accept IB credits in certain areas, and so she was able to earn back those credits that she was short. Every college does it a little differently. I always encourage students and parents to start looking at the colleges you're interested in to see what they offer and what they accept, knowing it very well could change over the next couple of years. One great resource, there's a coalition of schools called IB Mid-Atlantic. Every year they host a college fair. And the colleges that they invite and the colleges that choose to come are colleges looking for IB students. Okay, there's about 180 colleges that come to the fair each year, and they are international schools included. That was where one of my best friends, her son was an IB diploma candidate. He earned his IB diploma 2 years ago. He decided he was going to look at international schools to see who was going to give him the best, essentially, bang for his buck. He completed the IB diploma. He wanted to make sure he got credit for it. He's at school up in McGill, which is in Montreal. They took his IB diploma. They awarded him his first year of college. He's been in college for 2 years. He is now a junior. Okay, so and it's opened up. Of course, his dad had the same logical thought I did. Only paying for 3 years of college. This is the greatest plan. In typical Alex fashion, he has a different plan. He's going to take an entire year and do a paid internship somewhere. He's going to earn college credit for it. He's still going to graduate on time with his class. It just opens things up a little more for him. There are colleges like that in the U.S. I know University of Dayton, Ohio offers that. Wittenberg University in Ohio also offers it. So look at the different colleges and see it is starting to become more and more accepted. Yes?
The IB Mid-Atlantic
Yes.
Coalition, or
These are schools, yep, they're schools from Delaware, Virginia, Maryland, and DC.
Are there similar coalitions on a
In-
regional basis?
Yep. And each group, it's not, IB has not deemed this as this is our coalition. We as schools came together and said, look, we're all working towards the same purpose. Let's help each other. We do networking sessions and different things like that. Yes.
And in terms of the, I guess, more intrinsic value,
Mhm.
as far as how schools look at it,
Mhm.
any comments on that?
It differs from every college. One of the things that I've taught IB, let's see, this is my 13th year teaching or in education, and I started teaching IB my 3rd year in. So I've got 10 years with the IB. The biggest thing that I've gotten from my students has been them coming back and talking to me about their ability to study and their ability to hold those higher level conversations. And the last part, as an English teacher, was my favorite part, their ability to write. Their exams in May are written exams. They're having to write. And it's so sweet when they come back in and they do the, Ms. Brown, you're not going to believe it. I was able to knock out my 14-page paper in an afternoon. And of course, the English teacher in me is going, well, maybe we should revise, go through the whole writing process. But their ability to write and communicate their ideas, to me as a teacher, has been the best thing I can give my students. They don't always see it while they're in the moment, okay? But they'll typically come back to us with that conversation about, this is what I've been able to learn, this is what I've been able to process. And there is my calendar. I don't know what button I pushed today. Okay. Any other questions that you guys have for me?
How many kids go through the diploma?
Full diploma?
Yeah.
This year I have 50 seniors that are set to pursue the full diploma this year. I always have a higher number junior year. We have a little bit of natural attrition, and we usually end up with about 50 students.
I see you can also do AP as well as IB
Yes.
together.
Yep. Thank you so much for your time this morning. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help and work with your students.